got the
Alright.
jitters.
Here's the sort of the cutoff point for the video, but everyone, thanks for coming and watching. This is the start of Starcraft fastest map show match between WK Cross and Hydra. About to hop into game one. Random versus random, shout race. Uh, yeah, we'll just hop into it and we can go over other rules and questions later. But all right, in the 7 o'clock position we have our magenta Terran Cross, and then 12 o'clock we have the teal Protoss Hydra.
Yeah, so right away we're getting my favorite matchup here. It's kind of all I play since I'm a Terran picker. In 1v1, that means they pick Protoss to counter my Terran. So I'm very, very curious to see this matchup here. Now, I wasn't going to say anything about builds earlier, but now that we're in game, I can talk a little bit about what Cross likes to do here. So he'll probably open 3 racks, and then he likes to scout right after depot. And then based on that, he usually will either throw down a CC if you went Nexus first, or he'll just react. So if you went like 3 gate proxy, he'll keep making the Marines. If you get a gas, he'll get a gas. So he kind of does a sort of mirroring.
I believe you mentioned that you've been practicing with Cross earlier, specifically with this matchup. Do you know if he had anything planned, uh, regardless of distance or depending on sort of if he spawns on the sides or versus in the corners?
So I didn't practice with him. I mostly watched him practice with other people, and we are talking about the matchup because I was struggling in it. He's already playing a little different than what I thought, but not super weird. But I thought he would go racks first into 3 racks. He is going to end up getting his 3 racks, but he opened depot first. Um, but yeah, it's pretty standard, and he likes to just play reactive because as Terran, if you live, you hit your time and you don't take too much damage. You hit your timing push, and you're going to win. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much his game plan. You see, he went through the middle to check for proxies. So already, if he doesn't find the Protoss super early, he might just assume that it's safe to throw down a CC.
I'm seeing that Hydra opted for a gateway opening after the Nexus first, rather than going for sort of the classic Forge opening. Do you see him looking to be aggressive, or do you think that's more just a response to how Cross plays?
We'll see because the meta on this map, yeah, is Forge first, but the meta for Hydra, okay, it took 2 gas. I was going to say the meta for him is on the other map, he'll go Nexus first into the 4 gateways, and then he'll do some Zealot pressure. So it looks like he is mixing things up though on this map, taking those 2 gases. So he might just go into a Reaver timing or some kind of early drops. I'm curious to see if anyone's going to play DTs because I always feel like it's cheesy, but even top players will mix that in. So we'll see if he wants to do any DT builds. Um, yeah, but I'm guessing he's just going to go straight into drops because he has a very strong drop game. And there we see the CC from Cross, just as I expected. The 2 gas timing. The reason you have to get your 2 gas like right away after that CC is because you need to hit your tank around the 530 mark if they go for the Reaver bust. You have to have these 2 gases now in order to get the tank in siege mode out on time
Mm-hmm.
to mitigate damage from that push. I'm surprised there's actually so many cannons from Hydra, but that's fine because like the Korean meta is to really test with the Marines, so he's just being safe here, making sure he's not going to die to any sort of early Marine pressure.
Yeah, and personally, I believe Cross does sort of prefer the five rack style, so that way you could get the bio out not only to sort of threaten the push or um, defend himself, but also sort of deal with the drops that way rather than opting for potentially a 3 starport Wraith play. Judging by the distance though, I'd imagine Hydra would prefer, ooh, bit of a misclick there, would prefer drop play rather than going for a gateway heavy opening. Um, but no
Yeah,
robo
so you can
yet.
see he
Oh, there we
rushed the
go.
Templar Archives. So I wouldn't be surprised if we even see DTs first. Um, I think the Reaver timing is going to be slightly late, so I think he might do like a DT drop and then go straight into Storm right after, which is very reasonable play. Um, that's what I think we're going to see here.
Mm-hmm.
Cross was telling me because I thought 5 racks was just sort of the standard, but he was telling me like depending like how far they are, he will go wraiths and not go 5 racks. Um, and I think with Terran, sort of the thing is like the less Marines you can make and the more you can invest in tech, sort of the better for you. But like obviously the more Marines you take, like the easier it is to just defend drops. And yeah, he is going to go for Starport already. It's like he's also got that third CC really fast, which surprised me because he usually said for CCs he just matches the Nexus number, but here he is just grabbing it. So he must have seen something, maybe the fast tech, that made him think it's fine to grab that CC.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he realized there wasn't going to be the Reaver timing, and so maybe that's why he thought it's fine to get the CC. That sort of makes sense to me.
Yeah, and eventually the dropship player will play a huge factor. In case anyone doesn't know, there are ledges here that you could drop tanks on. So any unit can be dropped on it, but eventually, of course, you should see a lot of tanks be utilized on top of the ledges.
Yeah, that's one of the things when you first switch over to this map from the other one is like utilizing those ledges really like sets you apart, and especially as Terran, right? It's this big extra attack vector that you have that wasn't available to you on the other map. So yeah, like great players are the ones who really make use of that. You can
Mm-hmm.
see Cross already setting up, getting into a defensive position. And those drops are coming, and you can see too those DTs came out. I'm not sure what the plan was with them though. They're kind of being used for scouting right now.
Yeah, so initially I noticed that the Zealots were sort of going to 9 and 6, not only to follow the Marines, but to potentially cut off the scouting, so that it's harder for Cross to, potentially pull workers, have vision elsewhere. But it looks like, yeah, he's sort of just going for a pseudo scouting. And in case anyone doesn't know who's sort of casting with me, that's Chobo Avenger.
So what I really like is Cross got his Marine hidden down at 6 in a really sneaky spot. Oh, here, hold on, we'll wait for this drop coming in. So a little bit later Reaver aggression, but because he wasn't expecting the Reaver aggression, his Marines were out of position on the sides. The tank gets picked off already, so this is already scary right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Reaver has potential to do massive damage against this, especially since one shot can kill so much. Just any AoE. Oh, that was a fat hit. He has to be very careful because just good Reaver micro could potentially do a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is not going to be like game ending or anything. Right now, though, it's sort of like how many Marines can you keep alive? Because however many Marines you lose now, it's going to be harder to hold the future drops.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the mini game that's going on right now. It's going to affect the next few plays. I don't know how Hydra got that read, if he just assumed or what, but like if you look at his, oh my gosh, he's
Uh-oh.
shooting his own drop. Oh
Yeah.
no, it happens. It happens all the time. Yeah, so he's using the ledge here. That's a good way to just shut this down.
Oh, he lost the
Whoa,
shuttle with the
sniped.
Reaver inside. That's big.
All right, so I was gonna say is if you look at Hydra's base, like the cannons are perfectly placed at like I don't know where you could do a tank drop, maybe like right below the main nexus, but yeah, there's a nice cannon spread that he's pretty immune to tank drops here.
Mm-hmm.
See some wraiths coming out, one port wraith, and he did end up going that 5 racks. That to me is more standard and safe, so that's nice. So yeah, I think now all we're going to see is this game is going to move into, the mass drop play. We already see Stargates coming out, so we're going to probably just see Corsair Storm drop for the next few minutes. And that's going to determine how this late game goes. If Cross can hold on and not take much damage, then game should be probably his. But obviously, if he takes any big hits, then not going to go his way so much.
Yeah, so definitely how it usually seems to play out with these situations is you know, initially the shuttles and the storm drops will be looking to go after the workers, but then eventually the shuttle or the drop play will involve, you know, just zealots and Templars just looking to sort of slow or lower the marine count down, um, and then
Two tank
eventually
win,
whittle
map
down.
abuse. Two tank win, map abuse.
So really strong just position here in being able to just perch your tanks up. I wonder if he's gonna use a storm. Yeah, figured that was sort of wasteful.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes your opponent do something, but also it's a full scout. He knows exactly what he's playing against. He's seen like 5 shuttles now, so it's obvious.
Hmm.
Uh, let's have a look at Cross's sides. He's got Marines in position, secondary Marines behind. He's got some tanks set up. Probably use some more tanks set up behind. It's going to come a lot down to the Marine targeting and the pull. Still harassing with these tanks at the same time, trying to keep Hydra busy, dealing with his tank drop at the same time. I like that he didn't try to go for the Nexus because, like I said, there's so many cannons there. He would not have got anything done. All right, here comes the drop. One snipe, two. Ooh.
Oh
Oh, oh
no! Oh
no. Oh
no!
boy. It only takes one. But I always say when you're tearing, you get one, all right? You can get ult once, you just pull your guys off the gas, you still have 20, 30 workers, it's still playable. But you get one more hit like that, it's gonna be over.
I think Cross
It's
is
gonna be
feeling
donezo.
pressure to go for some sort of damage, so he went for and got a 5 probe kills, I would say, maybe 4. He went for a drop, which sacked his tank with the dropship, but that was huge. I'd imagine there was just misclicks involved, but oh, he did a
It's
great
good
job.
multitasking because he's doing it at the same time as he's getting dropped, which I always find is like the best time, right? Because they're so thirsty
Hmm.
to just get all your workers that they're not thinking about what's happening in their base. Like I missed it and I'm casting and I missed it. So
um, yeah, thankfully, you know, Terran, if you can just drag it out, fortify yourself, and keep it going, you know, it's not, it's unfortunate that he lost those, but it's not the end of the game yet. Of course, depending on
yeah,
how this upcoming drop does.
oh, he's not getting any snipes. They're getting in deep. He's got to pull. He's got to pull. Okay, okay, okay.
That was a decent pull. He does have 1 storm remaining. I wonder if he's going to go for it. He does get it and kills a decent amount as well, and also lowers the marine count. And now
Yeah,
we're
I mean, Cross's bank is getting really low, so I
mhm.
think he's in pain. He's not dead yet, but it's sort of like it's getting easier and easier for the next drop to do more because he's not going to be able to replenish Marines very much. He's bringing everything to the back. He knows he has to keep some workers alive if he's going to be able to take this game. He's just
Mhm.
taking too much damage right now.
And now you're
And
seeing
Hydra has an
mhm.
impeccable drop game. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, now we're seeing sort of Hydra sort of shift his priorities into getting in the full scout around. Really, the only thing that could potentially lose him would be a stealthy drop that gets through him. So you're just seeing him put the drop ship, or I'm sorry, the pylons all around the map, keep him in check. But uh, he did a great job with the first drop, just picking off the shuttles. He got one down, or the last one down to pretty much red health. It managed to drop 2 High Templars, and that just it just snuckily, sneakily got through. Um, and then that one just happened to deal huge damage.
This is a nice mix up by Hydra because usually they hug the corner like he's doing now, but last time he went from a weird angle. So now Cross covering the weird angle and not covering, what you'd expect, which is this hug. He's getting in deep again. The worker pull is looking pretty good though.
Oh, but the
Oh
tank
my gosh, the
shots.
splash.
Oh no.
Those intentional drop. That was amazing. Wow.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness. I think he's down to maybe less than a control group and a half in terms
You
of
can't
worker
sleep
count.
on Hydra's drop game. He has incredible drop game.
Hmm. Yeah, his Protoss play is something else. That's so far from what I've seen. He seems to sort of cover every base. I mean, his base is fully filled out. He's essentially just remaxing with gateway units, shuttles, Corsairs immediately, so he's coming back wave after wave after wave. And this is sort of the Protoss path to victory, right? You're just slowly whittling them down, you know, sort of rapidly coming back faster and faster and faster until the Terran just can't keep up. And we're seeing Cross's money just sort of plummet versus what it was earlier.
Yeah, he's just drying out totally. And he can't get into those better units. Looks like he's trying to do a Wraith switch. Um, but there's already cannons starting to pop up on the sides of his base because you want to catch those drops far out if you can.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this one goes. He really needs to get a hard stop on this one if he wants to come back in this game because right now he's looking all but dead. Looks like he might get a big catch here though with the Wraiths. It's 1 down, 2 down. Oh, and the stim. Yeah, this is looking really good.
There's 2 shuttles that go through. Any High Templars though? It doesn't seem like it, but
Yeah, so that just brought him right back in. That was
yeah,
he needed that. He
that
really
was a
needed
good
that.
stop, right?
He's gonna need like 1 or 2 more stops though to realistically get back in.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got this extra tool in the Wraith now, and he's doing a good job. It's always hard to show like the scans since we kind of have map hack on, but I can hear the scans going off every 30 seconds or so. So I think he's doing a good job at getting that information.
Mm-hmm. So on both sides, so both players are definitely sort of transitioning towards a late game where we see Terran keeping up with the upgrades and the Protoss in the meantime sort of build everywhere, so that they could potentially replenish from any side of the map, to eventually sort of deal with the late game push that we're going to see Terran do as they sort of max out and get the 3-3 upgrades. I would have liked to see one thing I would like to mention is if Cross or any Terran for that matter opts to defend with Marines, is sort of keep your eBay landed and eventually opt for +3. I feel like that can't hurt.
Yeah, it's just part of the
Mhm.
meta that Terrans try to stick to +1, and it's kind of like what I was saying earlier, where like you don't want to invest too heavily into Marines. You want to invest into the better stuff.
Mhm.
Hold on, this drop here. It's gonna get 1 right away. The second one gets them all. Wow, really nice stuff there.
Yeah, and there was also a sort of an attack and a drop coming from the choke as well. So Hydra tried to go for sort of double prong. Um,
Yeah, I don't think his like attack in the front was meant to do anything other than distract for the drop,
mhm.
because it didn't really end up doing anything. But yeah, it's a great tactic to use anyways. I'm glad to see this from Hydra. He's building those cannons like further out from the cliff because it shows that he knows the meta of this map. Because you always see this when you're playing this map TVP, that they'll build these cannons all around your base, but just out of range of the cliff, so you can't put tanks on the cliff to clear them out.
Mhm.
And this stops Terran from taking lifted buildings and putting them far out to get visions. Because as Terran, you want to see the drop as early as possible, because you want to do yourself a favor. Like even if you think your reaction time is like amazing, like you still want to do yourself a favor of giving yourself the most reaction time possible. So that's mostly what these cannons are. It pushes the buildings back, so you can't just see that drop super early with a floating building. And also, like for his Wraiths now, they're kind of stuck in base, and they do their best work out on the map. So it's keeping him really stuck inside his base.
Mhm. Judging
And
by
actually, oh yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead. Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry.
judging by the scout of Cross's scan, I think he definitely saw the blinking Stargate, and eventually, as his drop comes, if he sees the no Corsairs, I wonder if he's going to deduce that carriers are now in play. I saw that he scouted earlier, not sure if he fully expected carriers, but sort of the lack of Corsairs should be a telltale sign.
Yeah, he probably knows the timings. That was what I was about to say, is
Mm-hmm.
like the follow-up usually on the meta of this map is they'll build cannons outside your base like that, and then they'll build shield batteries so that their carriers can constantly attack the sides of your base and then just go back to the shield batteries to charge up again. So he's not doing that part of the meta. So I wonder if he knows it or if he just decides not worth it, or he's doing a lot in this game. Maybe he just forgot or doesn't have multitask. That's all fine too. It's not a criticism. It's just something to note.
So now we're seeing
Now
Cross
this.
slowly start to
Mhm.
poke out with the DTs in play
Yeah,
as
so he
well.
probably knows there's carriers. That's probably what triggered his attack timing here. And this is where it gets really nasty. Now you have carriers that's kind of getting all your anti-air. busy and they have a big drop ready to go in at the same time. So this is really going to test Cross's multitask. He's trying to push out, deal with carriers, and he's going to have to try to defend a drop at the same time.
Yeah, +2 already for the carriers as well. So the upgrades have been, you know, true to form along with his ground upgrades as well.
So one trick too, like for the meta of this map, is you want to get your High Templars up on the cliff. So when they're pushing out of the choke is when the tanks are most bunched, and you can get some 6 storms on them. That's, you can see he does have the High Templars ready to storm the tanks, but up on the cliff is like even sicker. Here comes a big drop while he's targeting the carriers with his race. I don't think he saw it at all. It's getting all the way in. He does react by pulling. We'll see what kind of damage he's going to take here. Kind of a nice hold after all that, but he does lose his entire push to the carriers. And I think his Wraith count too. Yeah, his Wraith count's also got eaten.
Yeah, definitely had to, you know, deal with one or the other. You know, eventually you could
Yeah, if you can
replenish.
only save one, yeah, your workers is what you want to be saving.
Right.
But it means there's no answer to the carriers now. He's trying to pump out some Goliaths, get some help there. His gas bank is hurting, but it looks like he did manage to refill all the gases and has healthy SCV count on minerals. Yeah, he's pushing out again. This is really important because you want to keep that pressure on the Protoss as well. You don't want to just be defending, or you're just probably going to end up losing eventually. So you want to get some damage done too. You have the tank count. It's time to start putting them to work. This guy's +3. That's also another kind of sign that it's your timing has come.
Right, the Protoss.
Yeah, see these storms in the choke.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Yeah, the Protoss always has to respect the ground army, right? The 3/3 army, sort of the apex predator when it comes to the ground units. So, you know, Hydra can't just fully dedicate himself to carriers. He has to mix in storms, zealots, to sort of occupy the Goliaths while the carriers are taking down tanks.
Yeah, that's right. And what you want to keep doing is just keeping those Templars right outside the choke. It slows down Terran pushes so much. And that's why you'll see Cross, what he would like to do is get tanks on the cliff so that those Templars can't storm his tanks while he's coming out. But obviously with carriers, it's basically impossible to do that right now.
Yeah, and one good play that a lot of Terrans I'm sure can sympathize with is Hydra mixed in just one DT sprinkled here and there just to keep him occupied and waste scans and force Cross's attention. Seeing a big shuttle group, I don't know exactly how many units are in that, if at all, because I'd imagine a lot of its supply is into these High Templars and carriers. So I wonder
Yeah,
if
a lot
it's
of them
just a
might
fake
be
drop.
decoys, but I bet there's going to be at least a few High Templar and Zealots just to try to get that ult. It's probably all he's going for here.
It only just takes one. Oh, there are a lot of units in there. Wow. Got a decent pull off. And thankfully the carriers sort of aren't threatening as of yet, so if Hydra did sort of threaten the front while going for this drop, it could have been huge, but yeah, just keeping Cross from mining a lot of minerals. And oh!
Yikes.
Oh no.
Yeah, those sneaky shuttles, there's 6 of them actually under the mini-map. It's so hard to deal with.
Right. Oh.
Those bottom left bases, you got the mini-map providing cover.
Yeah, that's extremely tough. Now we're gonna see eventually Cross, once he replenishes the macro cycle.
Another drop down bottom too might go in, I don't know. Oh, High Templar on the cliff. Yeah, just getting those Valks.
Yeah,
One thing that people don't know about Valks too is they don't actually do splash damage to interceptors. Like most people don't realize that. It's a huge realization, and Cross was telling me the actual thing you want to do with them is you keep them away from the carriers and you shoot the interceptors even though it doesn't do splash damage, because the interceptors will keep flying back to the carriers. So if you actually just click on a carrier while the Valks are attacking the interceptors, the carriers will actually take damage too. So you're able to damage them from like very far away. you're hurting the carriers and the interceptors, but it's not actually to like splash out the interceptors. It doesn't do splash damage to them, which
Mm.
is insane in my opinion. When I
Right.
found that out, I was devastated. Nice EMP on the carriers. That's
Oh
what that
no, here comes
vessel
a
is there
drop.
for.
Oh, there's no pull. There's no pull, and Cross has
Oh
absolutely
boy.
no money. GG.
Yeah, GG. Well played. Good game. Nice back and forth.
That was a devastating set of drops by Hydra.
Yeah, he played that really, really well. He just used a strong drop game. Um, I think like I said, if Cross has the right mindset, that's not bad because you got to play for a good 20, 30 minutes. So you're warmed up, you're good to go. And you held on for a long time. So your mental mindset should be telling you like, I can do this, I can hang with this guy. I just need to be a little bit more diligent or maybe a little bit more aggressive. Tweak a thing here or there, but he was able to hang with him there.
Mm-hmm.
But Hydra, had a really good game plan. He's doing small things during that too, like building those cannons in the middle. Even though he was ahead at around 12 minutes, he was building cannons in the middle. And that's like, if Cross decides like he just alled me, I'm going to just go for it. Well, those cannons are going to delay the push, and then Hydra could accordingly change his plan because then he knows, oh, I just have to crush this one push and I'm going to win the game. So those small things that didn't come into play so much that game, those things show me too that like he's thinking about the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't just like I storm, I win, Protoss, the no brain Protoss type play. He's thinking the next steps of
Mm-hmm.
what could happen. And the same thing with all those cannons around his main, like the tank drop didn't really go for his main. It did in the counter drop. Cross found a nice spot, but I was thinking like I always say like if you can't play Terran, like the best way to win games against Protoss is just tank drop. Because there's so many games where like the Protoss maybe was better than me, um, but you just get one tank drop off and that's it. You probably have that game.
Right, sort of similar to a storm drop. You just need that one. Mm-hmm.
Yep, for sure.
All right. In the 3 o'clock position, we have the blue Terran Hydra. And then at 6 o'clock, we have the red Protoss Cross. So, reverse matchup.
Yeah, and that's great. I think that's is a big win for the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to see things sort of as balanced as possible, so you really get a picture of like who's on top at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, it's a show match. We want to see good games, but we also, we want to be able to say like, okay, but who's on top here? If it's your kind of football, fantasy football. Like, if this guy could play this guy, like, who would win if I could make any team versus any team? So
Mm-hmm.
want to get the answer of like who's the better 1v1 fastest player on this map.
Yeah, and I think we can both sort of acknowledge that, Protoss does tend to be the stronger uh, race on this map. So you don't want to, say that you only won or lost because of, Protoss, as
Yeah,
much of a meme
exactly.
as that may be. So,
Okay, this
as you
build
said.
gas first out of Cross. I think he's going for Dragoon. He's going to get fast Dragoon range and go for like the Dragoon push.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think this build is. I remember losing it to the other day and he was explaining it to me. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's that, but we'll see. Maybe it's something else.
Very
And,
quick
and this really
scout.
surprises
Mm-hmm.
me. This is what I was talking about before the games, where I was like, I think they're just going to play solid builds, and this is already not standard. I would expect him to go Nexus first,
Mm-hmm.
get the two cannons, do the Reaver push, then go to the Storms, sort of mostly like what we saw last game, except with maybe an earlier Reaver push. And Hydra with the two racks also really interesting.
Oh, that is a very peculiar scout path. We saw
Oh, Okay, if this is the goon build versus what Hydra's doing, which I think it is, this is going to be really hard for Hydra. He might just die because he went
Oh,
CC,
CC, right.
and
And
you need to get a gas right away to deal
mhm.
with the range.
Right, because eventually the Dragoons will be able to kite the Marines, right? Especially without the range. Um,
Yeah, and you need bunker range because that's the best thing. If you can get a bunker in your choke with range, then you have the same range as the Dragoons, and then
mhm,
you can even just pull SCVs if you need to keep those bunkers alive to get your tank out.
mhm. Yeah, one
But
thing I
now, like,
was.
range has already started now. This is going
Mhm,
to be really hard. I think Hydra's probably just going to die. It feels like a build order loss. So if he pulls it off, I'm going to be really impressed.
mhm. One thing I was going to mention is Hydra's very odd follow or scouting path. He initially scouted 9, looked for the cannons, went to 6, looked for the cannons, and when he didn't see it, he just went to 12. So I think now he's realizing, especially with the early zealot, that's probably not a Nexus first into Forge build. That he just needs to scout deeper in. So he sees
Yeah, he's
it.
not going to be
Mhm.
happy when he sees this. Yeah,
Yeah.
academy, right? He's got his academy going. He's gonna have to basically find a way to buy time to get that marine range, but he's got like the worst end of the build orders here.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even be surprised if he pulls workers, because that's one thing he can do too. One of the only extra resources he has is that extra CC, so he can afford to lose a few workers here as long as he doesn't die.
Mhm.
But even the depots in front is gonna hurt because those are gone. There's no saving those.
Right. You saw him sort of scramble to get these 3 bunkers up, and he's gonna have to sort of upgrade range as soon as the academy is done with. He could threaten, yeah, the initial sort of poke to save the depot as long as he can before the range finishes, but uh, the tech following is going to be the robotics facility. So are we going to see elevator goons, you think?
I hadn't thought that far ahead, but that would be a nice play. I could see that happening. I could also see him just going into Reavers or Storm or
Mm-hmm.
something more normal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he should try hard to get damage done because he's got the build order advantage here. We should already shoot these depots. Yeah, he's doing it already. And as for Hydra, he should just do like whatever he can to buy time and to live. So making 3 bunkers right away, that's a good play. He should try to repair those, keep them alive. He's got his range coming out. So he might actually be okay here. He's rushing on that range, and I think it takes only about 50 seconds to finish. Um, so it looks like he might actually. I'm surprised. It looks like he might actually be all right.
Yeah, the depot's definitely bought him some time. Until the range finishes, in case anyone doesn't know, it does usually take about 1 SCV. There goes the range. Um, it does take about 1 SCV per goon hit to sort of repair the bunker so it doesn't die. We're seeing Cross in the meantime tech to the rock support bay, go into the reaver, most likely just gonna look to harass and transition, especially with the second and potentially third nexus. Nope, just the second nexus. Um, so
Yeah,
nothing,
I'm really
not.
impressed with that hold. Like
Mhm.
I was looking for that build, so I'm glad I forgot to see it. I think actually like having 2 racks instead of 3 actually helped him here because he was able to get his academy up quicker
Mhm.
because he saved all those minerals from getting the 3rd racks. So I think that's maybe why I read this wrong. But yeah, that was an excellent hold by Hydra.
Yeah, and the response from Hydra now is the 2 turrets plus the 2 bunkers, expecting a drop play at this point. So covering his bases and Cross in the meantime, also sort of just scouting around the map, making sure. It looks like it is going to be an elevator play from the shuttle. No Reaver yet, I don't think.
Yeah, he's grabbing the cliff. I'm wondering if he's going to bring the other stuff over and these guys are just to cover or if he just wants the cliff here.
Hmm.
In any case, it's going to open up the pathway for his Reaver drop to have a clear path in. So this is good for him either way, whatever he decides to do. Looks like it is just going to be on the cliff to make sure that there can't be any turrets, and his drop will have free clearance to land, which is great if you have a Reaver versus Marines, right? As
Hmm.
soon as you're on the ground, you can already get some work done.
Yeah, and these goons are definitely going to mess up the AI as well eventually, and he's going back to pick up the Reaver, expanding on the gateway count and just putting down a couple more box facility. I'd like to see a few more cannons either in front of Hydra's base or at his choke. Because right now, one thing I'm worried about would be just the potential push out because there's not much back at home to defend sort of the army that Hydra has. And if he can pull off the defense against the Reaver and maybe pick off the shuttle, that would be huge. That could potentially end the game itself, I believe.
Okay, let's see how this plays out. Marines are down. Tank should be firing on this Reaver. Nice pickup too. And it's gonna have to be a pull here. Big shot. That's money. This is the 12 kills on that Reaver. Oh
Oh
boy.
no! Oh!
Hydra's
Oh!
in it now.
This is not literally the same, of course, but it's sort of mimicking what happened last game, right? Just a huge play where the workers go down, and now Hydra's just gonna have to claw back up. He has less than 12 workers mining minerals right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's not rushing for tank drop because when you're behind like this, like, you kind of just YOLO tank drop and try to get back in it. So I would think that'd be the first thing on his mind. It looks like maybe he's just a better player than me. He's like, I can do this. I can just stabilize. So it looks like he's just trying to focus on stabilizing. Um, this again, though, is like one of the sort of interesting things, is that cliff usage is what I was talking about. It kind of separates the people who are really masters of this map um, versus the people who, are just good at it and just play it. So that was a really nice strat. You can use these cliffs to open up the follow-up plays, and that's exactly what Cross did. Another drop now going all the way around, coming from the top angle that he thinks Hydra won't expect.
Good
Great job
response
by
time.
Hydras. Yeah, in
But now he has
position.
to worry about the Reavers just dropping.
Yeah, the problem is just so poor. He can't get enough stuff. Really good splits
Oh,
here.
look at that
Great
micro so
pickup.
far.
Wow.
Yeah, didn't lose
Yeah.
a single one, saved the shuttle. I would like for Cross to not stay greedy. He has such an advantage. Let's gather the shuttle and then come back with the bigger drop with the units back at home.
Yeah, you can't micro too much. I mean, this map favors macro, but you can see his robos are pumping, and that's the important thing. So he's got some follow-up game, and all he kind of needs to do is throw his stuff against Hydra stuff in an efficient enough way, and he can easily close this game out because, yeah, those hits were huge.
Yeah, you can see Hydra just squeezing out these units right now. His factory isn't fully producing. He's getting the one Wraith, or he's getting a second Wraith. He sees that
Yeah, that
shuttle.
Wraith Patrol was clutch.
Oh, great pick off right there. Was just the
Yeah,
one
some
Reaver.
great focus fire and the presence of mind too to put that Wraith on patrol. It did so much work for him. It probably just, it just kind of carried the game or brought him back in this by seeing those drops so early. He was able to react really well.
Yeah, and
But
very heavy robo play looks like about to come out. I'm assuming just
match drop style. Watch this
yeah.
drop on the bottom. There's nothing in position. Okay, he didn't go all the way in. He could have though. Hydra already pulled because he thought, if this guy goes in, it's getting in. But of
Right.
course, Cross doesn't have map hack on. He didn't know it was open.
And the most common sort of play, right, for anyone that doesn't know, would be, draw his attention on one side, in this case the Reaver on the bottom, and, come from a drop on the top, That's, I'm sure, what he was expecting, or at least that's what I was expecting. But I don't think he had any Reavers to follow up with that, at least not from any other shuttles. So this style feels definitely a lot different than the style that Hydra preferred. He's attacking from the front, eventually dropping. I'm sure Hydra expects that.
Yeah, for sure. They both are aware of that kind of tactic.
Oh, that was a good pull. Saved pretty much most except one.
Yeah, everything's in
SCVs.
the red, but
Yeah.
they got away, which is what counts.
Yeah, SCV's a little bit tankier. They wouldn't die as instantly as a drone or probe would, right? But just these pulls that they'll still sort of eventually rack up, right? The SCVs trying to regather the minerals, trying to find their mineral patches, and then the time they're spent not mining is eventually just gonna sort of stockpile.
Yeah, people underestimate the damage it does just when you have to pull.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing to note is like there's no medic healing these guys. So if they take another drop like that, well, there's a medic now, so never mind. But had there not been, if they took another hit like that, they would die the next time that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes the big drop again, and it looks like he is going to probably get something here. He's getting in deep.
I think even taking out in this case the bio is huge, and right now we're seeing the SCV sort of run around. There's so little units defending back at home. He has to rely really heavily on these bunkers, so he's sort of gonna have to prepare for dear life, and he's down to double-digit minerals now. So I think at this point, Cross is sort of just hammering and just constantly just I don't know what the right word would be, but sort of inefficiently trading, and I think that's okay as long as he just doesn't throw away his army.
Yeah, he doesn't need to take efficient trades. I mean, he's not. Like, that wasn't a good drop, like, if they were even. But because he's so far ahead, like, what's most important is that he just trades. Like, any trade is a good trade right now when you're this far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like in poker, you're the big stack. Well, I guess that's a bad comparison. You never want to give away chips.
I love the poker analogy here.
Thank you. I'll use a bunch more as we progress. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
good at that.
Yes. So big drop, or at least a lot of shuttles this
Getting in
time.
deep again. Let's hope the things actually drop out. Yeah, he's trying to drop on the building to make sure things pop out. That was the problem with the last drop.
Oh,
Huge hit, massacre.
he still has a good control group, but he took out a lot of bio, and again, Hydra's gonna be starved to just replenish that army
He
count.
got a shot on the workers too. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
workers went down there.
Yeah, there was a lot of AoE in that one drop, and with that sort of 7 robo, you're seeing just him able to sort of replenish. But the one thing I was going to mention is he's mixing in Reavers as opposed to what Hydra. He sort of opted more for the just the mass where he can fit more Zealots and High Templars.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that better because the tank setup is really strong right now. That Hydra's dealing well with the Reavers.
mhm.
But in theory, the Reavers are nice because you can also thin out the Marine count, and of course, you can right-click some workers. So it's hard for me to tell, like, if the Reavers is a bad play or if Hydra is just really good that he makes them not look not look as good as they are.
Hydra is keeping up
But
on the upgrades though. He's getting looks like it's +2 for his mech. Um, with the science facility up at the top. I mean, he's got to realize that this is gonna be a long, long game if he's gonna win this.
yeah, this needs to go to like 25 minutes, I feel like, if he wants to win. He's just like, you know, uh, YOLO, everything, hug the CC, got 4 bunkers there, got like 10 tanks back
Hmm.
there.
Oh, the Reavers
Oh,
all died at once. There's no SCVs to storm in the middle. Eventually, what I'd like to see would be just mass Archons and Zealots just target down the command center. I think at this point, um, the units are sort of stabilized around not Cross, I'm sorry, Hydra's command center, to where they're not gonna land for as long as you would like them to with tanks around.
yeah, I mean, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's getting work done. Hydra can't seem to get like past 500 minerals, so he's hurting real bad.
Hmm.
Behind it, Cross has the tech that if he wants to go carriers, it's ready to go. He's got those cannons in middle, so if Hydra decides, like I said, if he decides like I'm going to do one final push, well, those cannons are going to delay it, so the Cross will be able to respond. So yeah, I feel like Cross just needs to stay the course. He just needs to make sure the units pop out and that he gets some kind of trade. As long as he gets any trade, he should be taking this game.
Yeah, we just saw Cross sack about 2 control groups for probes, so um, we should definitely be seeing him tech into a much heavier drop play and potentially soon into Reavers as well. Oh, I'm sorry, not Reavers,
Yeah,
carriers.
yeah, you might want to start the carrier, especially since there's a valve count building, and that's one way that Hydra can get back in the game is if he gets a proper valve count, like the ARC, those
Hmm.
drops got kind of slapped because the valves are so good against them, just splashing all of them at once.
Hmm. Right.
And that's what I'm saying. He's just got to make sure he takes trades that actually trade. Like he can't be doing that where he's getting nothing for a lot of things.
Right, and
So
just for.
carriers will be a good way to do that. Yeah, he
Mhm.
does have 2 carriers now, so I think that'll help out.
Yeah, and just like how we saw previous game, we're seeing sort of, as you mentioned, you want to back up the carriers with the cannons all around the base, so that you can either build shield battery, prevent the cloaked race from just following you, trying to snipe down the observer and carriers down, just to sort of solidify your positioning, and to slow down any potential push that comes out. But Hydra, it's despite the multiple work done on his workers, he's managed to almost max out and sort of keep up in the upgrades. He's just now finished his
He,
+2.
yeah, he's got the important thing, which is those plus damage upgrades on mech that will let you eventually push and win the game. And he's also done a great job of identifying how far behind he is. So that's why, he's got all like he had like 8 bunkers all surrounding his CC for a bit. Um, if Cross could do, oh, we do see those shield batteries. If Cross could like map hack and see exactly everything that Hydra had, I think the play would be to snipe the depots.
Mhm. Oh, I think he missed with the Valks. And here comes the Reaver shot. Looks like it's going to be a dud. Thank goodness.
Yeah, another good hold here by
Mhm.
Hydra. So that those I bring that up because I think those carriers might result in that. Like I think the move would be a carrier and then Reaver drop and then clearing all these depots on the lower side. And so that might become the issue in another minute or two from now, or maybe
Mhm.
even now the carriers are headed down there. I also find it like it's not significant, but kind of funny that the science facility is in the top right. I don't know what that is about.
Yeah, it looks like he was just in a rush to get that out. We see a drop very sneakily going towards uh, the left side of Cross's base. Can't imagine that'll get a significant impact done.
There's
Uh,
not that many cannons. It could get in, but he does have some.
yeah.
I'd say maybe enough. So depends how it lands.
Oh, the Valkyries are all gonna die from the cannon fight, from the following the shuttle. So decreases the Valk count 4 now, so the carriers will definitely have a little bit more capability. But
Yeah,
uh,
and Valks are expensive, and he
mm,
needs them really badly to deal with the drops and with the carriers.
yeah, the gas is just so starved right now. He just finished on his 10 gases, so we should hopefully see a little bit of a replenishment by Hydra. But yeah, this bio army is gonna have to last him for pretty much until he can get those Valks up. And like you said, the Reavers are also sort of parking themselves underneath the carriers.
Yeah, we see the Reaver carrier clearing depots. It's so annoying. It's tearing. He just lost like 8 depots. It's so frustrating.
Hmm. Yeah, there's sort of reminiscent of in ladder where you have an arbiter recall on top of your supply depots and just wipe out your depots. It's not killing out your army, but it is keeping you from making more units, right? So definitely
Yeah, and we
just
already
frustrating.
see like
Hmm.
if you look at Hydra's base, it's not clean at all. So he's building those depots on the top side, but like that's very significant for Terran. You want to have a clean base so you can get those proper macro cycles out and do a nice clean push.
Hmm.
So this is incredibly annoying.
Right.
Reaver actually gets a decent shot on some gas SCVs. Not significant, but clears a few out there. And
Hmm.
also this side is now super open. So if he does go back into drops or something, um, yeah, it's getting more and more open down here on the bottom. There's no turrets whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for him to, but he could potentially, sort of change his attention towards the north side of hyperspace. Uh, Again, there's really no cannons or shield battery to sort of support him up there, so I don't see the reason why he would. He's sacking more probes, considering he's just so much of a bang, but I would like to see him bring more Reavers into play. Looks like he is going to, and bring in Arbiter as well. I guess I'd imagine for stasis.
Yeah, probably. But even the cloak is annoying. Like I said, there's no turrets, so now every time you want to fight, you have to scan. Yeah, you just threw one down now. So it's really obnoxious. And there's the stasis. Would have been nice if he got the workers too, but this is already a pain. And now here
Yeah.
comes the drop with no valves to stop it.
And just so little army
Huge
to keep
hit.
this from happening. Yeah, and we may even see the command center go down.
Taking so much damage. Carriers targeting the CC, and that's one thing they're great at. They're big CC killers. And now if you're Hydra, you might be thinking about going for one last push
Mm-hmm.
and then throwing it in. He does have a CC at top right. This is something I noticed more SEW players do, is they will just expand somewhere else where you won't think to harass them. And he's actually, yeah, he's got like a lot of things that he was able to just hide in top right that if got found would have been very annoying for him, but it's working out nicely this game.
Yeah, a lot of Valkyries now, which should be able to deter the carriers away. Um,
Oh, they
oh, that was
fly
a
into
great
the
moving shot.
cannons again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does get the Arbiter, which is big because yeah, he doesn't want to get stasis again on the Valks. That all would be all but it for him.
Mm-hmm. So Cross just sacked another control group, so I think what we may see here is if he doesn't kill him soon, maybe within the next couple minutes, is that we're gonna see Cross's bank just suddenly skydive. So um, definitely gonna have to keep a
Yeah, but he
watch on his
could he
money.
could he could actually just start sending zealots in the front and getting nice trades now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like seeing this probe sacrifice move. Um, because I mean Hydra's so poor that now's the time where like he doesn't want to build more units. He wants to build SCVs and get back on his feet. So the more you pressure him, the harder it's going to be. So I like that move a lot.
Yeah, with the vault count now, I think it may just be safe, or it could potentially be a situation where Cross just decides to target fire the Valks and just take down the command centers, but looks like he's just playing it safe, potentially bringing Reavers soon, I'd imagine.
Even killing the Valks when your opponent is this poor, Valks are like one of the most expensive Terran units, like
Mhm.
more expensive than tanks. So
Right. Yeah, I believe they're 275, 125, so very pricey. Um, and yeah, now we're seeing Hydra double-digit money. I mean, and here comes the Reavers. I'd imagine as soon as he sees them and takes out all the workers, it could be GG. Um,
yeah, this looks like to be the end here.
yeah, we're seeing just a whole lot of red in Hydra's base. And
And the SCVs get away, and he's mining in top right, so maybe he'll stay in because of that, and he'll just try to mine from there. But
mhm.
it's not looking good. I would expect GG any moment now.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we
there we
go.
go. GG, good game. Both Protosses taking their respective games.
Yeah, well played. He just opened up the bottom with that Dragoon drop. Um, Hydra had that really nice defense, though. I got to give it to him. I thought he was going to die just off the goon push at the front. Hydra in the channel saying, I don't know where to build my shit in the mid bases. Yeah, classic issue. Classic Terran issue. Happens to the best of us.
Hmm. Yeah, right. I mean, it's tough, right? Spawning in the in any of the mid positions, whether you're 6, 12, 9, 3. I mean, you just have so much potential to be attacked on either side. So, uh, whereas in the
And then
corners,
taking it
yeah.
up another level by doing, cliff abuse.
Hmm. Yeah, right.
Two
Uh,
Dragoon win, map abuse.
yeah, and I think not to say that Protoss is a superior race, but we've seen sort of both these games decided by a very early sort of declaration of worker count abuse. um,
Yeah, Protoss specialty.
yeah, this is sort of the impact that you see with the AOE or the potential for AOE. We're gonna take a quick break. I'm not going anywhere. I don't think Chobo, you could. Are you gonna take a
No,
quick
I'm
break?
good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm here.
The players are just gonna take a quick break, but um, so just stick around. We're just gonna be talking about the games for a little bit. Give us a couple more minutes to get the game started. But 1-1,
Yeah,
so it's not gonna be a clean sweep for either players.
yeah, and this is like, this is the biggest win for the viewers, I think. Um, no one wants to see a clean sweep. People want to see a competitive match between these two.
Mhm.
So already, I think this is a big win.
Mhm. Mhm.
The other thing I wanted to say about the mid spot when you're tearing is there's a larger angle you have to defend for drops as well. When you're in the corner, it's over 90 degrees or whatever, but when you're have those mid spots. You got to defend like a 180 or 270 degrees. It's tough.
Yeah, it's sort of just the nature of the game, right? Without excluding 612 9-3, you're sort of left with corner positions, which may lead to sort of monotonous games. I think any map, or most maps for that matter, there's always going to be some sort of map imbalance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that game, there was a lot of skill that came into play. Like, for example, I was saying, oh, this Dragoon build is hard countering Hydra's build, but Hydra reacted nicely. And then Cross actually reacted nicely right back by not just like focusing on going all in with this Dragoon bust, but turning it into another play by dropping them on the cliff. So that was really good reaction on his part to find a different way of using what he had to create opportunities and to create an attack for himself.
Yeah, they both sort of methodically worked their way to their win.
Yeah, and then Hydra, again in that game, he was able to acknowledge that he was very behind and just turtle really well, and it almost got him back in. At some points, it looked like.
Alrighty. This one is a way different matchup than what we've been seeing. We have on the top right, 1 o'clock Cross as the purple Zerg, our first Zerg of the day. And then on the bottom left, we have our orange Terran Hydra.
So the current meta for this is usually you want to go a CC as fast as you can if you're Terran. So CC first, or you can go 1 rack CC if you don't want to get cheesed out. But yeah, it used to be that you would just go 2 or 3 racks into as fast factor as possible and get the push going. Oh, and we're actually seeing mech out of Hydra, so never mind. Forget all of that. So I think we're just going to see what Hydra used to do is he would drop some vultures in to get a scout off on the Zerg and to do some drone damage. I don't know if he still does it. When I used to do that, it never did anything. But Hydra is not me, so we'll see if he still likes that or not. But obviously you can get a very nice push going. And then usually what you'll see Zergs do to respond to this is they'll do like a 3-hatch muta, I believe is the standard. Because if you're going mech, obviously your anti-air is not great. So then as Terran, you either choose Goliaths or you can choose to go Valks. But it gives you a lot of play as Zerg too, because you can also go to their base. If they're low on anti-air, they still have to choose where that anti-air is going to be out on the map. So you get a lot of play by doing that. So we'll see if that's what Cross decides to do, or if there's some other play that I'm not aware of, but that's what I'd expect to see in this game.
Yeah, so the nature of Zerg overall on fastest is that you're spending so much time trying to get your worker count high, considering you can't build both workers and units at the same time. It has to be one or the other, of course. That you're at a disadvantage from the beginning of the game. You can't apply pressure if you're gonna go for an economic build, and you can't have a transition or a clean transition if you go for an aggressive build. So the solution or the workaround is that the Zergs will opt for choke hatchery to minimize surface area to defend, and then either tech or play aggressively from there. Now you're saying that it's the counter or the response to the mech build would be for a 3-hatch muta, and that's on top of building sunkens at your choke, correct?
Yeah, of course. You have to build the sunks at the choke to buy the time to get the mutas out, because you'll get pushed before you have mutas.
Yeah, it sounds like with that though, you would just be so starved for money. Are you
So
sort of...
it's a micro based play. And there are other ways to play. Like I've seen plenty of people just play the kind of standard Zerg where you go Hydras and stuff. But that just feeds a bit more into the mech play. It's not that that's not playable, that is, but it feeds a bit more into the mech play because you're gonna have a lot of tanks. So more Hydras, it's not bad for you if you're making a lot of tanks anyways.
Right.
And the same thing with lurkers. Like lurkers are great if there's bio to kill, but if they're just going mass tank, not as good.
Yeah, so far neither player aware of what the other player is doing. I'd imagine as soon as he sees the vultures, he'd know, but yeah, they just both
Yeah,
avoided each other. But
yeah.
now he
So
should
he'll
know.
know right
Hmm.
now. So
Yeah,
we'll see if he wants a den or not. He is going to get a den. All right. So we might not see the mutas. We might still see it. You can get a den and go mutas, but
yeah. From here, I was gonna say I'd imagine the response would just be to constantly just push out with sunkens, because as the tanks come, eventually it'll just be squeezed closer and closer and closer to minerals. So rather than starting from the choke, you want to start out as far up as possible. Um, I agree with you that I think the mutas would be the more proper response. Uh, the tanks will sort of deal well with the Hydra, so um, I feel like if you're able to mute a micro, pick off potential Valks or avoid the Goliath shots, um, you'd have a much better time than using Hydras to respond with the mech.
yeah. I mean, the other thing about this map too is you have those nice cliffs that your mutas can kind of bounce in and out of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why they're maybe the unit of choice against these kind of builds because it's really hard to. It's already hard enough to like get your tanks to do what you want and not walk into a sunken, but now you want to like get them in the middle so they're not hugging a cliff, so they don't get sniped by mutas. So it adds an extra challenge for Terran. But yeah, here comes the tank push, and Cross is going to have to buy time, and we'll have to see what he wants to go for. He's getting a layer, but this time's pretty normal, so I wouldn't say it's like indicative that he's going to go mutas. Um, so yeah, he's just first he just has to buy time, and then it's inside his head what he's decided is going to be his counter here. He could wait and go to Guardians. He could just try to live it out till Swarm. There's plenty he can do, so we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see eventually just his sunken scattered throughout his choke just to buy him time. I mean, and it may get to a point where Hydra decides to be aggressive and just sort of just aim move, so it can move in faster if Cross isn't well prepped. He has Hydras out, so if he were to just run by with the Vultures, he could deal with it. But with this tank count, there's definitely no way he can sort of address it now.
Yeah, he had to build these Hydras because this push is coming so fast. There's already 6 tanks out
Mm-hmm.
at 6 minutes, so he needs something to buy time for whatever it is he's decided. There's no Spire, so it's not going to be Mutas. Doesn't surprise me because the timing doesn't seem like a Muta time anyway. So it looks like he's just going to try to do a strong attack with Hydras and bust this. So it's going to come down to control. Does he, attack when a lot of tanks are besieged? Is he able to like find his way in there? How fast does Hydra try to push in? Those kind of things.
Yeah, and Hydra is seeing the Spire. I'd imagine he'll eventually get Vox going or even just Raves.
Yeah,
I
he's
would.
already got Goliath in the mix at this
Mhm.
point. I mean, he's all right.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be sort of a great flank or just catching Hydra off guard. That's sort of often how you see Terrans lose their army, right? It's just siege timing, just poor siege timing. Unfortunate that he lost that Overlord, but I think it was important that he saw exactly what the tank count was for Hydra. To see if he could address this, to see, you know, when his
Well,
siege.
you
Mhm.
you can't attack into this choke, so Hydra knows that, and so he's taking his time. And yeah, if Cross does this, I don't like this at all.
Yeah,
Running
he's
into
already
this
so
small
sieged,
choke.
it's already so solidified. He may just be looking to lower the tank count and then push back. But no, he's heading straight on and managed to take out a good amount of tanks so far, but yeah, this is gonna delay, but it's so much harder for Zerg to replenish their army versus.
Yeah, it went
Oh.
better than I thought. He
Mm.
reduced the tank count, which is, very much the important thing here.
Mm.
But the trade was also not bad at all for Terran. I mean, he's still doubling the supply, so that kind of tells the story. And he has a second CC too, so he's not even very all in with this. He can play this game out. So I think Hydra will be happy with that.
Mm.
Now Cross doesn't know what's going on, so he had to build these extra Hydralisks because well, what if Hydra just kept going and wanted to put a tank at his drones? You have to have something.
Right. Yeah, there's just
But I was surprised by that move because sort of tactically, right? You don't want to fight into choke. You want to wait for them to come out so you can get a bigger surround.
mhm.
So I was very surprised that I guess he thought I better reduce that tank count now before it gets out of control. And he succeeded at doing that. So he's bought himself some time. But I just feel like his army got reset. That like, did you really buy yourself time if now you're just rebuilding the units that you just threw away anyways? Because your drone count didn't improve. So and your tech hasn't really improved. So it kind of feels like you're in the same situation. And now Terran's macro, is steadily. Well, Terran macro is like linear, right? So it just slowly gets better.
Yeah, I would have liked to see maybe Cross squeeze out a few more drones to potentially get whatever out he possibly could. I wonder if he saw the lurker eggs. I think really the only threat that Hydra has to worry about would be the drops. But yeah, just with such a low drone count, it's so hard to transition out of anything after losing our army, right? So um, the usual response against Terran as Zerg would be to sort of tech as quickly to um, Hive as possible, right? For Defilers, for Swarm. But right now
Yeah,
there's...
because Lurker Swarm is the only invincibility spell in the game,
Right.
versus Terran.
It's true.
I
I
mean,
mean,
almost.
yeah, it's crazy how far Swarm, Lurkers under Swarm gets you, even, whether it be ladder, fastest, any situations.
If you play those 5v3 maps and you're versing like insanely rigged computer units that have like 999, 999, but you have Swarm, like one Lurker and Swarm, you'll be okay against most stuff.
Right. Yeah, and just a couple lings to replenish your infinite mana Defiler, who, um, I will, I think most people will agree with me. Oh, decent Lurker hits. Well, is that Defilers are best unit in the game.
Yeah, I would agree for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Splitting up his lurkers, it's good. It's another way to buy time in case the scan comes down. So that's one of the really good things that this has bought him is there's Hydra didn't have a scan. He just built those scans now. So those don't have much energy. They have one scan each. So the more scans you can force out, the better. And that's the other nice thing Cross has going for him. I think he's still in a really sticky spot. Like his hive is just building at 11 minutes, and Hydra is almost maxed. But the starport count is low. So Hydra's attack is very linear, and that it kind of just has to come through the choke right now. He can't do any drops or go around or anything.
Mm-hmm. In response to the starport count being so low, he is throwing down 5 more starports. So, do you think we're gonna see potentially just a mass rape? Oh, he's walking into these lurkers. His sand ran out. Oh, he got scratched a lot by those lurkers, and he's pushing to issue. Not sure.
Yeah, kind of weird to push without the tanks, the kind of the heavy hitters here, but
Yeah, right now the lurkers...
I'm not really too worried about Hydra losing units right now because he's got like fully con in me basically.
Right.
The thing he needs to do is like he's fighting the clock here because Cross is the one who's going to have Hive and Defiler soon, and that's going to make a different game. So I think Hydra should be pushing the issue, but I don't know why exactly he's opted to keep all his tanks so far back and why he's not actually just trying to push in here. I feel like you want to right now put Cross on that clock by pushing hard.
Yeah, so right now it looks like Hydra is just opting for just a slower crawl and push. He sort of looked to clear the map all around.
Hey, is there anything in these OVs on the left side? Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no problem. I do not think so.
Curious.
I think they're strictly
Okay.
for scouting.
Gotcha. Because they're like all stacked.
Yeah.
Suspicious like.
Defiler mount done though, so I believe it's about 30-40 seconds until consume finishes, so he's gonna have to buy himself a little bit more time. A few more lurkers would help.
Yeah, you see Hydra being smart. That's what I was talking about. Is you want to make the Zerg come to you in that choke, and this time Cross is not biting, which is good. He does not want to be running into that.
Hmm. Yeah, and sort of
But
similar now to Protoss versus Terran, we're eventually going to see Terran sort of set up shop all around this base, threaten with drops or threaten with erasers, which is where you irradiate a unit, a mech unit, and come in to take out the drones, uh, while he's waiting on consume.
yeah, the other thing that Hydra may or may not be aware of is on this map, you like on SCW, there's not too much you can do other than go air in the late game, but here you can actually try to push through any of the sides since you can put tanks on the cliffs.
Hmm.
So if ever he gets pushed back out of this choke, which right now, he's just killing it and getting in deeper and deeper. But if ever he does get pushed out, he can do another attack trying to push over the cliff.
Alright, so here goes the lurkers. Oh, I'm sorry, here goes the swarms. Hydra under swarm will still get damage from the splash, so he'll need a lurker or two to survive. He unfortunately lost all of his units.
Yeah, this
Um,
game's on a knife's edge. Like he could
mhm.
maybe get some swarms and push him out, but he might just die. It could go either way. It's looking like he's gonna die here. He needs to kind of take a deep breath and sit back and get one like big push to try to shove this out. You can't send things in one by one. You got Valks harassing him at the same time here. Nice sort of multi-prong harassed, or not really multi-prong, but doing more than one thing. Here is Hydra also targeting these OVs while pushing.
Right, just dealing with trying to build Scourges or Mutas to deal with the Vox while building units to survive. It's sort of that tough cookie balance that Zerg has to deal with. And he's finding the Overlords now in the top left, so that's getting extremely probably claustrophobic for Cross right now.
Yeah, he's got some Guardians. He'll probably try one more time to push this out using the Guardians and Swarm Lurker. Well, Swarm everything. Yeah, here goes everything. The guards are out. Guards to the front lines. But there's so many Valks. I think Cross is just going to fall here.
Thankfully, okay, I was going to say, I don't see a Vessel Cloud yet. The Vessel Cloud is coming. Um, but yeah, the Lurker on the Swarm will buy him, a few seconds, and can he replenish his army in time? But just the army, the spellcasters eventually coming up, I think it's gonna be tough for Cross to just deal with everything.
Yeah, and now you got the Irradiates coming in too. And the mech upgrades are looking really nice. Good plague on the Valks, but it
Good
doesn't matter.
game.
Good game. And I think those were the best spots you could hope for too in a Zerg versus Terran because you had cross map as well. So just really well played by Hydra.
Hmm.
I think the problem most Terrans have there is you get really nervous and you try to push too fast. And he was very methodical. And he realized like I have your choke now, so it's like reverse choke. And so he just stayed there and reinforced that point until he was ready to go further instead of just being like, I have to kill the Zerg now. He's going to get too big. Go, go, go. He had that sort of mindfulness to know where his advantages laid and how much time he had. And yeah, good game.
Yeah, Cross really couldn't get out of his base at all, right? Other than his initial first six drones or first six Zerglings, it was just Hydra responded, or Hydra had the correct build. Go into mech, squeeze him out, force him to build units early, don't let him get comfortable, and then just rode that victory to the end.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. And that's why I was worried when the Hydra trade was bad because your drone count is really, what's going to cause problems for the Terran is the drone count and you getting your tech up. And neither of those things was happening. His drone count wasn't increasing, and his tech, took a really long time. Like you'll see Hive like I don't know, 7 to 9 minutes type thing, and I feel like that game was like 11 minutes or something.
hmm yeah, preferably you tech to Hive as quickly as possible, but yeah, just feeling the squeeze. I'm sure you just have to respond.
Yeah, it's a tough build to play against because he got away with the mech. So it's just tanks for days, right? And
Mm.
this is why people like to do the mutalisks, but that's not an easy answer either. So nothing wrong with what Cross did.
All right, game 4. We have a same matchup from last game. 6 o'clock, we have Green Terran as Hydra. And then 12 o'clock, we have the Blue Zerg Cross.
Yeah, so we'll see if Hydra, the first thing we want to see is if he wants to do the same thing again, or if he's going to mix it up. And then same thing from Cross, if it is the same thing, is he going to do something? What's he going to do different this time?
Yeah, cross map just like last time. TVZ. I wonder if he's just gonna offer a pool first opening. I'd imagine knowing the matchups, it's gonna be. Nope, just gonna go for a hatch. I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
I'm glad he didn't, and that might also be why Hydra we see is not doing a mech opener, because he might be afraid that Cross is just like, I'm just gonna do like some Ling cheese and take down that mech opener, right? If you know that they're Terran and you think they're going mech, then of course you would go for Ling cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So Hydra just gonna play standard. I think these spots are not as good for Cross as last game. This isn't as far as diagonal cross spots, but these are not horrible spots by any means. Let's see, is it going to be 3 racks? Okay. I always thought that 2 racks was actually better than 3 because you can get a faster factory or CC or whatever. But 3 racks is definitely fine here. We'll see what he wants to do with it. Maybe he might even decide to do some bio aggression, which obviously 3 racks is better for. But yeah, standard stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, is he gonna lose a drone? Okay, he pulls.
the
Good
main
pull.
difference here I see is that he's not opting for the choke catch. Do you think there's a specific reason why?
Yeah, I actually have no clue why he hasn't decided to do that. The gas looks kind of early, like maybe he's gonna do some speed links. Because
Yeah,
I don't think you usually see a gas this early, right?
yeah, he's already collected 100 gas. There we go, it's speed. Okay, I was wondering if he was just waiting for him to leave the base and then opt for a layer instead. After he sort of drives the Marine and SCVs away with the Zerglings, but looks like he's just full committed on the speed.
Yeah, so now I'm definitely liking Hydra's build because now is when you want to have a high marine count. So those 3 Raxes are going to serve him well. So I'm liking this game for Hydra for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He should have identified the build. I'd be surprised if he didn't after seeing that gas and seeing, like you were asking, why is there no hatchery in this guy's choke? So it's probably going to be a quick game one way or the other. And we'll see. Oh, actually, Hydra's moving out on the map. That's not what you want to do
Yeah,
against this
especially when
build. So
speed is
maybe
about to
he's
finish
not
8
aware.
second.
Yeah, he might lose everything here. He's got to be really careful. Is he going to throw down a bunker immediately back home?
We should
No.
be speed finishing up soon. It's not a very long upgrade. And yeah, he did lose all of his Marines. He thankfully has units back at home, but we're probably going to see eventually just a streamline of Zerglings coming through. There doesn't seem to be any other tech option coming through from Cross.
Yeah, I don't like that trade. I think he thought because he killed the Marines that he could be more aggressive, but now he's just given Hydra another way back in this game by throwing those lings. Yeah, I don't see lings. Okay, he is building lings behind this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not liking this third build right now.
Yeah, saving those
good.
saving those Zerglings would have definitely helped and looked to have caused damage before the Fire Pass came out. I think if he just gathered for a bit, he may have been supply blocked, which is why we didn't see Zerglings for such a long time. But with the Fire Bats out now, I think the threat is almost sort of neutralized.
Yeah, just even the Marine count, like the fact that he's not building a bunker shows like how little he's respecting this build. Like he's not worried at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows his game knowledge because he's right to not be worried. Like everything's totally fine. And he's just so far ahead now that Cross is not going to leave because it'd be kind of bad mannered, but like it also kind of wouldn't be.
Right, well, we couldn't blame
he's really
him.
out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
he's really behind right now.
Yeah, as soon as he pushes out, I mean, even if Cross builds, 3, 4 Sunkens, he has so few drones that
Yeah,
he,
he doesn't even have his own choke, so whatever
mhm,
pressure is gonna hit twice as hard.
right.
Um, yeah, he has so few drones, so he's behind like wherever he's supposed to be. Um, there's not really any opportunity for him to attack. There's like even a wall now with a bunch of fire bats behind it, so
Yeah,
not sure.
I think this would
Mhm.
just be a good chance for Cross to not only just you can actually Zerglin can actually go through that, but looks like Hydra knew. I think this would just be a good chance for Cross to sort of um, just warm his hands up a little bit more, potentially just play it out, maybe annoy Hydra as much as he can before the next game because yeah, with that with these Sunkens, I mean he'll survive maybe, but it's just there's just really not much that he can come out with this afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I like this trade for Cross. If you build a lot of Sunkens and then they attack into those Sunkens, often good for you. So it should be happy with that. And looks like maybe the Lings might be able to close out these Marines. Yeah, so that's nice. That's a win for him. His path to victory, I feel like, is I don't know. Most Zergs, when they cheese and it fails, they just do another Zerg. So, not another Zerg, another cheese. So, maybe Ling Lurker all in next, and
Hmm.
then call it a day.
Yeah, against Bio, I think Lurker play would really be the way that you can sort of shift this volatile matchup. He's opting for
Oh, but he's
Spire
getting
instead.
Aspire. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna see Mutalisks here.
Mm. We are playing, one thing to mention is we are playing, thankfully, under turn rate 24, so if they are going to go for any sort of muta micro is plausible without dealing with the turn rate. So, um, gathering resources as you should. Question is, um, I was going to say, will the Irradiate come anytime soon, but he's just now getting a starport up, so he may only finish the science facility by the time the mutas are done.
Yeah, and this is another example of just like Hydra using his brain because like you might ask yourself like, man, 7 minutes and there's still no tanks. But he knows the Zerg is already far behind, so you don't really need to rush out tanks, right?
Hmm.
So he's getting all kinds of economy, and then he's going to be able to have like a really strong push, into the later game. Um, and the defilers are going to take forever to get here. Like, I don't know when we're going to see a hive, if ever, in this game. So just again, those kind of build order adjustments that these players are doing on the fly to show like they know the game and that they know how to think about the game and they know how to take advantages based on what's happening in the situation. They're not just playing robotically and doing the same thing every game.
Right. They're responding to what the current game state calls
Yeah,
for.
exactly. Yeah.
So he managed to get some mutas out before the Spire went down, and then he instead opted to plop down the Hydralisk then. I'd imagine the mutas will be enough to sort of grab Hydra's attention, but with the turrets, the question is, I mean, how much damage can he get done while keeping himself alive?
Yeah, I like the choice of Mutalisks because like you don't have too much to do back home right now anyways, so like you might as well put all your efforts into micro to try to get back in this game since macro has kind of failed you at this point. There's no real hope of doing macro stuff anymore. Yeah, even losing all these OVs, oh, it's so painful. It's like you're already behind and now it's getting deeper and deeper in the hole. Hatchery going down. Mutas aren't getting much done, but like I don't know, it's kind of like there is no bad choice when things have already gone this horribly.
Mm-hmm. I would have preferred to have seen him sort of show off the mutas, maybe get his attention, and then come back to defend. I'm surprised he let that Hydra survive, but I mean, if he can keep himself in the game, although this tank may just build to reach the drones, which may call Cross to just
Yeah, he's got Muta, so you can try to find an angle to snipe
uh,
this out. It's already at half health. Yeah, Hydra responding. He's aware of the same thing. Nice, pulls the Marines away to get the Lings on it. And at least take that out. But I mean, fastest comes down to macro. So at the end of the day, look at Hydra's bank. He's gonna start pumping out some serious mess soon.
mm-hmm.
Cross is gonna probably be in some trouble here. He does manage to reach Hive, so that's really nice. And he's getting to Filer's Den, so if he can hold on, you know, Swarm is the key. There's always a way back in, but I think this push is going to be too nasty. I think we're going to see Cross go down in a few minutes here.
So proper response after the scan and the bio isn't pushing out, you do just want to unburrow and move away. But oh, the drones. Oh, the drones.
Yeah, that's game right there. Got in range of the drones, and that's what it's all about. Looks like these lurkers will clear the push, so Cross can keep playing if he wants. And he might want to. I mean, when you have Swarm, you know, if you can buy that time, I mean, that's all you need.
Right. I mean, until there's vessels with irradiate and a ton of tanks, you know, Swarm could just, you know, press, right? So.
Yeah, really nice push back here. So at least he regains his choke, and now if he can get Swarm, you know, that's the first step to getting back into this. What's the starport? Okay, but the starport count is like good. We have science facility. Okay, so science facility is not done yet, so it's no irradiate threat for a little while.
Yeah, I think Cross is sort of 100% tunneling on the push here. I think
he's just trying to buy space. I think he's aware that he can't actually. Okay, well, maybe I was wrong.
GG. That was definitely a tough go. You know, just sort of. I thought he was gonna go for a pool first opening, judging by how he wasn't going for a choke catch.
Well, I wonder too if he just made a decision in his mind and he said it's gonna be mech. It's gonna be the same mech build again, and he had decided like this is how I want to play against that, and then he just got really unlucky because, you know, 3 racks is the right choice against what Cross was doing. And so, you know, maybe in terms of, you know, build order mind games, maybe Hydra, you know, just pulled out the right one.
Alright, so right now the matchup stands at 3-1. So far we've seen Protoss win every game and Zerg lose every game, unfortunately. Do you think we're going to see something like a PVZ or...
I hope so, but it's kind of a weird question. Do I think we're going to see it? Boy, let me do the probability. No, it's going to be Protoss versus Protoss.
You think so?
No. I'd like to see Hydra get Zerg. I mean, I think that's what the people want now, right? That's justice.
That would be the fair play. Alright, so 6 o'clock we have as the Magenta Terran Cross. And 12 o'clock we have the Blue Zerg Hydra.
Yeah, this is beautiful. This is perfect. This is what the people want. Cross told me that when he's versing Zerg, he likes to play mech, so we might see that, but we might not.
Yeah, I think knowing, if you know that you're going to play against Zerg, going mech would be the proper response, I'd imagine. You know, Bio could get sort of stuffed at the choke if they were to go choke catch with all the sunkens. And then the response would be tanks, so why not go for the early tanks and then eventually transition into the Vessel Cloud or Wraiths, as most Terrans probably would in the mid to late game.
Yeah, I don't like the mech play, but I'm also just not good at it, so I prefer just getting, I like less racks count, get an early CC, and then just do your standard racks, tank push, and then I like the Korean style there, like what Brain does, where you just get like a lot of starports early. I think starports cause a lot of problems for Zerg. But this matchup's kind of fun because as Terran, you're the aggressor, and you have a lot of ways you can play. We are seeing an early gas, so he did go racks first, so I thought it wasn't going to be mech, but now we see an early gas, so it looks like maybe it is going to be mech. So kind of interesting build here. I think it could be he wanted the racks first because just in case of Ling Cheese, this will keep you safer. But he still wanted to go mech, so he just wanted to play a safer mech.
Right.
So I could understand and respect that.
Yeah, I think that was the play as well. um, if you my thing about the buy opening going into CC is that you can't really punish the Zerg's economy at all if you go with that type of style. I'd imagine you'd sort of want similar to Protoss and how they sort of tech to Robo as quickly as possible, is to look to get into their base to sort of threaten the workers.
Yeah, you're just moving back your timings a little bit. And in exchange, you're getting heavier timings. So it's really a stylistic thing. Um,
Mm,
can you make the fact that you have a later push and later timings worth it by, having the more stuff and using the more stuff effectively? Kind of the question. Which is why I like the starport, because you're giving yourself more uh, ways to attack the Zerg, having a lot of starports. But that's also why this matchup's cool, because there's a little bit more control than some of the other matchups. He's doing a great job keeping his SCV alive and getting a lot of information.
yeah. One thing I don't think this really needs to be said, but this is a best of 7, so we are right now in a must-win situation for every game moving forward for Cross. And Hydra is 1 win away, so right now the prize pool stands at $230. If anyone subs to the Twitch channel or feels like they want to contribute to the prize pool, you're more than welcome to, and it'll go 100% into the prize pool for the players. So hope everyone that's watching is enjoying the game so far.
Yeah, so that SCV did a lot of work because it let him know, like, he's only made like one vulture, so he knew that he didn't really need a lot of units to defend any Ling kind of pressure. So there's no Lings coming out. So this lets him be as greedy as possible at just maximizing the amount of tanks. And yeah, this is what he told me: is you make a few vultures, and then you get tanks, and then you just go press right away. And I think he followed up, he said, with Goliaths. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, and we'll see what the response can be from Hydra. We see a Hydralisk Den, so maybe he's going to also do a Hydralisk response instead of the Mutalisk response. He is getting a nice, healthy drone count.
This case, what I noticed is different is that Hydra's getting a faster layer. He also was able to get a healthier hatchery count before, um, as there wasn't as many vultures out in the map as Hydra had when he was Terran. So I think we should see Hydra sort of have a better response to this upcoming push. Plus, I think this bunker may go down from the sunken.
Yeah, and I think this bunker is just to make sure the tanks don't get overwhelmed by Lings. He has a decent vulture count, and I don't think they're going to get overwhelmed by Lings anyways. He is repairing the bunker, so I guess he wants to keep that forward position. Yeah, one thing to note as well is, if Hydra did this build, it means he should be fairly aware of how the timings works. So you should see him put up a pretty nice defense and Zerg game here.
Yeah, with Zergling speed and the Hydra's coming down, these two tanks may be in trouble.
Yeah, this is not enough to deal with it. And the sad part is the army is there. It's just sitting back at base. He's got to get that stuff across the map. Even the two vultures in his choke, he's forgotten to send his units, and things are really falling apart now.
Oh no, this tank was trapped, and yeah, these speedlings are sort of speedlings are usually the response to sort of a tech heavy or tank heavy army, right? So great response by Hydra is just delaying this push, which lets him sort of tech up longer, and he's opting for Spire rather than the Queen's Nest, so looking to surprise him there, and a stream of Zerglings now coming down. And now
Yeah,
Cross
things are
is,
just falling apart for Cross.
yeah, now Cross is
A
sort
lot
of
of
at
trouble now, yeah.
threat
Go
of
ahead.
almost losing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks all but over, because I mean, the point of this build was for him to have the Zerg on the back foot, and the Zerg to be the one who's like just barely trying to hang on, and now it's Cross who's trying to hang on, and Okay, sure, some drones are missed because of these lings, but they've done so much already that it's totally worth it. I
Yeah, now
do hope that Hydra will go back into droning and teching. I don't think he should try to win the game here, but he's bought himself a lot of time, which again, is what Zerg needs.
yeah, I think judging by the muta or the mineral count going down, I think he opted for the muta play. Don't think Cross is gonna necessarily die from that, but if he does decide to mix in speedlings with the mutas, he may be able to actually threaten the win here.
Yeah, not even just the win. He could also choose to just buy himself time again, because if you look at Cross's base, there's no turrets up, like there's no anti-air at all. So now you have to decide, am I going to keep my Goliaths with the push, or am I going to keep them at my base? Um, so that's going to be a great way to buy time for Hydra. Yeah, and Cross knows that he's missed his timing, and I think that's why we see him now getting the third CC up, because he knows this game is going to go longer than he'd like it to. Uh, so yeah, he's in a really rough spot right now. He must know how behind he is, and he
Mm-hmm.
can't be too happy with that. And he's got a tough decision to make too, because he doesn't really have any way of knowing how many units are out there. So if he pushes too soon, he could lose his army again, and then it's totally over. But if he doesn't push fast enough, then the Zerg could just be droning and getting bigger. So this is a really frustrating point for Terran, is when your first push gets shut down because you lose so much information too. He is opting for this tank drop, and he just threw down a scan. It looks like the Scourge are going out looking for the drop since he flew by the Ovi. All right, his drop survives, but it's almost dead already.
Yeah, he can't sort of just be as aggressive as he probably imagined he could be. Yeah, Hydra's just covering his base. I'm just getting the Overlord sort of spread going. I think if as soon as Hydra decides to stop droning up and decides to just make units from here, you can just push the Terran pushback soon.
Yeah, we only have 8 units in this push at
Mm-hmm.
like 10 minutes. He needs to make sure he consolidates his army this time. Got to make sure every single unit he has is across the map. His only chance here is, yeah, to get this pressure going, to make sure he stays in this game, because Hydra's economy is looking sick right now. And even these mutas, yeah, I think it's enough to take out this push, and he's going for it right now. He could even fight the Goliaths if he wanted to.
Yeah, no Goliath range, unfortunately. And I was gonna say there is not a science facility yet. So the lurkers could just be such a nuisance if he even decides to poke forward and forward and forward. Um, I
Yeah,
think he's working
this
off of one
reminds me a
scan.
lot of like my problems in this matchup, right? We see a lot of like stray Terran units. Like you have to have good control
Mm-hmm.
and keep your army together. So we just lost 3 Goliaths for free just because we forgot that they were in the top right. Earlier, his tanks kind of died for free because there were 2 vultures sitting in his choke and 3 tanks who didn't consolidate with the others. So like army control in this match is very, very important for Terran.
Yeah, now we have a sort of very healthy Zerg army here. Just looking to keep the Terran in check. I think he should actually engage perfectly fine here, assuming he has a scan, which he does. But the question
Yeah, I
becomes,
think
he's just...
that. Mhm.
No, I was gonna say, the question becomes how he's just... I mean, how long can he survive until the Defilers come out?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like if Zerg is the aggressor before 10 minutes, like something's kind of gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what actually changed that fight was which is what I was going to say, is that one Valk actually did a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely softened up the mutas and let the Goliaths take... He's still... Okay. I think range just now finished, but...
Yeah, I just finished. You can see the blue missiles just kicking in.
Mm-hmm. But with all these Guardians, Slings, and eventually the Defilers, I think we're seeing sort of a complete army by Terran here. He just scanned. I wonder if he's gonna look to just keep his position and just try and fortify with backup, or if he's gonna push back. Nope, he's just pushing
Yeah,
forward.
until the swarm kicks in, like you just want to fight, right? And also with a Zerg this healthy, like well he's going in for an irradiate now. Oh, okay, he has the energy. Maybe he doesn't have the irradiate. But yeah, I was gonna say you want to take the fight to them because this Zerg is already like ready to swarm your choke. We do see an irradiate go down, so let's see if we see a burrow here. Looks like burrow's not researched, going to take big drone damage. That's really helpful. Cross needed that very badly.
Yeah, I think if Cross is persistent enough, he could definitely get himself back in the game with all these irradiates. One thing I was going to say is there wasn't any Zerglings, so if Cross wanted to, he could have actually taken advantage of the Swarm and just gotten his Goliaths underneath it and fought the Guardians from there. Uh,
Yeah, he can't let himself get pushed too far back because Swarm's out. So if Swarm gets into his base, that's the
mhm.
end of Terran. Um, so he does want to try to keep map control as much as possible. And yeah, having a strong starport game is really important right now as we're moving towards that end game because that's sort of the last thing Terran can do. Since you can't move past Swarm anymore, now you need to get drops on the cliff and start dropping units over, get your irradiates out, harass all these with Valks. These are the things that become really important as we move into the late game.
Yeah, looks like Cross is gonna try and go for sort of a irradiate or eraser from the sides, maybe crawling the corners. I would like to see him push the pressure. He has vision over the choke, and he knows that he's not really looking to be aggressive Hydra. I mean, so just sort of poking away, and forcing Hydra to pay attention at the choke, I think would be important. Um, and now we can see Hydra just getting comfortable, just putting Sunkens probably all around the map. I'd imagine we're also going to see Queen and maybe even Ensnare and just Defilers scattered all around his map just to prevent the drops from coming in and dealing damage.
Yeah, you see a Scourge right over his hive. That's what you want to do. And then as soon as you see air coming from anywhere, you just fly straight to it.
Hmm. Good response there by Cross, just irradiating and defensive matrixing as much as you can before they die.
Yeah, there's not enough energy for Radiate, even if that vessel got in.
Hmm.
He is taking the tanks on the cliff here, so that's going to be annoying at least. But Zerg doesn't seem to have much air right now to deal with it. There's Guardians in the bottom right. So this is what I'm saying, where there's just like, there's a lot going on in this matchup that people kind of lose some of their units, forgetting where they are.
Yeah, I think we see this pretty often when it comes to TVZ and Fastest is Terran, if they can sort of not necessarily contain, but keep the Zerg back from getting to their choke, as you mentioned,
Yep.
and just threaten the irradiate, threaten the erasers, occasionally try and drop, you can bring yourself back into the game and just slowly start to squeeze the Zerg in, just like how a Protoss would do to a Terran. I think right now it's just finding that opening. Right now, Hydra's just
It's the
covering.
Guardians hitting his depots. So those
Yeah.
Guardians that he was leaving in the bottom right, this is a nice move. Then you bring them in and you kill the depots, slow the Terran down even more because yeah, Terran needs to be very active, throughout this entire matchup. So anytime they get slowed down, it's even more stressful. And the swarm is getting pushed further and further across the map. Nice target on the Defiler, trying to slow down this Zerg push. Uh, Hopefully Cross can regain that ground, but yeah, Hydra is getting dangerously close to his base.
Yeah, it's gonna be such a hassle to get rid of these Devourers in his base. I'm probably gonna keep the box occupied enough for the Guardians to just make their way down.
Yeah, and I just want to, reiterate how much those Guardians did, right? Because that's what gave Hydra the opportunity to then push out with Swarm, because you can't control your army while dealing with the guards. So it's really cool to see, like, again, people think that Fast is just mindless macro clicking buttons, but there's actually a lot of strategy that's still going on and a lot of thinking happening behind the scenes.
Hmm.
This looks like it's about the end for Cross, like just the amount of units alone. There's so many Guardians. I mean, luckily there's no Defiler here. He is irradiating at the same time on the other side of the map. Let's see if this gets in.
Good game.
Yeah, it doesn't get in. Good game. Hydra takes it. What's that? 4-1?
Yep.
Well played.
Yeah, just despite the matchups, I think Hydra really just controlled all of his games, and you know, the Zerg game or just the most recent game, I think he knew what to do. And Cross mentioning how he gets nervous, and that's understandable. It's playing in front of a crowd, you know. I think and knowing that you have to put on your best foot,
Yeah,
definitely
there's a lot of
matters.
nerves definitely that go into it. At the same time, like let's not take away from Hydra. Like he's a great player, and then he showed that. And yeah, I was trying to highlight a lot of the little changes we saw him make throughout the matchup. Like I said, with that Goon opener, a lesser Terran player would have just died, and he made it look like there was no problem whatsoever. Um, so yeah, really hats off to Hydra, and I'm happy. I'm happy with this show match. I think we saw good play and good games out of both players. So, I mean, that's what we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we go ahead and hop off, I'd definitely like to thank Hydra and Cross for playing. Um, I mean, I can't imagine they're watching right now, but if they decide to watch later, thank you for participating. Thank you for agreeing to playing potentially anywhere from 2 to 5 hours for this series. And thank you to the viewers, and thank you, Chobo, for casting with me. It was fun, and I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe we can do it again sometimes.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I really enjoyed the different rule set as well. Having the random versus random where they declare a race, taking that variable out of you don't know which race you're playing against, so you can't do your best build order.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a very fun format, and I hope to see more of this type of format. And I enjoyed the games. I wish, the caster in me always wish for 4-3, right?
Right.
Or the viewer in me, right? You always
Mm-hmm.
wish for 4-3. You want more games. You want it to be as close as possible. So in that sense, it's unfortunate, but like I said, just really well played by Hydra, and at least we didn't see games that were closing out super early. We got to see games reach the late game, and see sort of the full range of motion of these races. So
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Yeah, for all the viewers, if you guys enjoy this, please just let me know if even if it's just to say, thank you for, having Cross involved, or just any any type of reception would be good. And um, I hope we get to see Hydra and or Cross play again sometime, and hopefully this can be a reoccurring thing, a regularly occurring thing. Alright, I'm gonna thank the players and gonna end the stream here. Again, thank you everyone for watching so much, and I will hopefully see y'all later. Bye.